Repacking the quick cartridge system is quite similar to that of the conventional system. The wash pipe can be pulled out of the packing house by setting it on the floor, placing your foot on the handle, and pulling upward sharply on the upper nut and wash pipe. To remove the nut from the used wash pipe, invert the wash pipe and nut, and remove the 8 Allen head cap screws from the ring flange of the wash pipe. Lift the nut off the used pipe. To repack the housing, first, invert the housing on a workbench. Remove the grease cert and 3 anti-rotation Allen head cap screws from the upper spacer ring. The lower spacer ring is retained by 2 set screws. The first set screw is positioned in line with the grease cert of the upper spacer ring and air inlets. Spin the lower nut until this screw is revealed and then remove. Spin the packing housing 180 degrees. Then spin the lower nut to reveal the second set screw and remove. The packing housing can now be flipped over and then lifted. The spacers and packing should remain on the workbench. Remove the used packing from the spacer rings and discard them along with the O-rings from the bottom spacer and wash pipe. The metal spacer rings should then be thoroughly cleaned and inspected for any damage and correct tolerances. Care should be taken when greasing the new packing rings. Invert the packing ring so that the V groove of the packing is facing up. This groove should be completely filled with grease. Once filled, any excess grease needs to be thoroughly cleaned from the edge of the packing before inserting into the spacer ring. It is very important that the spacer ring is also cleaned where the packing is inserted. Insert the packing into the dry spacer ring and be sure that there is no grease or trash between the mating surface of the packing and the spacer. Trapped grease in this area will not allow the system to energize the packing properly and cause a premature failure of the packing. Once the packing is inserted in the spacer, you will see a void between the lip of the packing and the spacer. Fill this void full of grease too, and then clean the metal spacer and packing of any excess grease. Repeat this until all spacers and packing are ready for installation back into the packing housing. Invert the packing housing on the workbench so that the bottom nut is pointed upward. Note the inscription on the spacer rings. They are labeled first in, intermediate, and last in for a quick reference to the order they are installed. Start by orientating the spacer labeled first in so that the grease cert thread is aligned with the grease cert opening in the packing housing. Insert the spacer in the housing with the packing entering first. The intermediate spacers can now be inserted, packing first, followed by the bottom spacer. Put a drop of Loctite on the grease cert threads and start by hand. Once started, use a socket to run up tight. Put a drop of Loctite on the anti-rotation cap screw and use an Allen wrench to run up tight. Position the packing housing so that the grease cert is face forward. Spin the bottom nut until the hole for the bottom set screw is revealed. Put a drop of Loctite on this screw and insert and tighten using the Allen wrench. Spin the packing housing 180 degrees and repeat. To install the upper nut on the new wash pipe, invert the new wash pipe flange down on the workbench. Slide the nut over the wash pipe thread opening face down. Reinstall the 8 Allen head cap screws in the ring flange of the wash pipe. Be sure to put a drop of Loctite on these cap screws and tighten with the Allen wrench.